Hello! Welcome back for another tutorial. In this video I'm going to be showing you how I do my sponge roller sets. Sponge roller setting is a great way of getting a overnight curl. It's perfect for those of you who maybe have damaged hair or a bright colour that will fade quickly with heat, where you just don't want to have to use heated tongs or heated rollers. It's also great for those of you who have fine hair that just doesn't curl very well. An overnight set will typically work a lot better than a heat set. I used to always do my sponge roller sets on wet or quite damp hair, but I've recently started doing it on dry hair, which is what this tutorial is going to kind of show you. The reason for this is because I know that I'm not going to get quite as much frizz, and also I'm not going to get stuck with the problem of waking up in the morning and your hair is still damp. Sponge roller setting is quite a tricky technique to really get the hang of. It's quite easy to end up with a lot of frizz, but hopefully you'll be able to pick up some tips in this tutorial to really help you with your setting. Do bear in mind that any kind of set is going to vary in results depending on your haircut and the type of hair that you have. So it's super important to have a good haircut. I recommend for vintage hair not having it any longer than kind of, I guess, the start of your bra. Ideally it's between kind of like anywhere between sort of shoulder and below collarbone. You want to have lots of nice shaping around the face, a little bit of layer depending on the type of your hair, and also just making sure that your ends are really nice and blunt and healthy. If your ends are straggly and dry and really wispy, you are not going to get a nice full curl. So keep on top of your haircuts, look after your hair, and you'll get a beautiful set. So we're going to start from the very top, and that is with wet hair. I've washed it with my favourite shampoo and conditioner by Davines. I use the Milu, but I also love Oi, O-I. Beautiful, beautiful shampoos. So it's just wet. I need to put some product in now. So I don't use like a setting spray when it's wet still. I use Tigi Talk, which is basically just a blow dry cream. It has a little bit of hold, but it doesn't get too sticky once it's dry. I also spray in some of the Davines All-in-One Milk, which is all-in-one thermal spray detangler. It makes the hair feel really lovely. And also some of the Oi Oil, which is like Moroccan oil or those kind of brands, but again, like it's just one of my favorite products. So I'm just putting all those products in the mid-lengths and ends of my hair. I use about 5 pumps of the Oi Oil, a few sprays of the All-in-One Milk, and 1 pump of Tigi Talk. If you have really, really fine hair or hair that is super silky and hard to back comb and get volume, I would highly recommend using some sort of root boost, or this is a sea salt spray. This is by Davines, and you can just spray it in the root area, like around the top, kind of taking sections like this and spraying. I don't really use it that much like I used to now that I've gone copper, because my hair's a bit more kind of frizzy and a bit damaged, so I don't really need it, but I highly recommend doing that because it just means that once it's dry you won't have to kind of work so hard to get back combing and volume to stay. Now I just like to kind of brush it all through, make sure that the products that I've put in you know, aren't in kind of one place and clumpy. I think brushing it through just helps to make sure it's all distributed evenly. And now we're going to blow dry. So I am going to blow dry at 100%. I am going to smooth it out with a round brush. The key to this is you're wanting to smooth your hair but not straighten it. So it is going to vary depending on your hair type. If you don't have particularly frizzy hair, then you probably won't even need to use a brush. It's just about getting your ends nice and smooth. You'll start to see that my hair does go quite frizzy, so that's why I need to use a brush to really smooth the ends so that I get a nice roll. Once most of the moisture is out of the hair, it's only just a little bit damp, that's when I would say you can go in with the brush if you need it. And I just take big sections since I'm not needing to be particularly precise, and I will use the brush to smooth out the ends. Okay, so that's all dry and reasonably smooth. You can see that there's a bit of frizziness kind of on the ends, but I'll be able to sort that out. At this point, I also like to just add a little bit more of the Oi Oil, just to kind of give it a bit more moisture. My hair is quite dry. This Oi Oil is a really light one, so you can kind of put it in dry hair and really build it up. There are some of the oil-based products that I think would be a bit too heavy to do at this point, and it also depends on your hair type, but this is something that works quite well for me. Also, I forgot to mention earlier that before you even start blow drying your hair, it's really good to get your parting in place, because that way it's going to sit better. And I always just recommend doing, you know, your part with the end of a tail comb so that you get a really nice kind of crisp, clean line. It really annoys me seeing beautiful hair, but the parting is just a bit wonky. I think it's really nice to have a good proper part. Now for the important part, the rolling. I'm going to be using a couple of different sizes of sponge rollers. The main size is just these ones, which are about 1 inch in diameter. And then I'm going to use a couple of these slightly bigger ones for the front of my hair. Now, the way that you need to roll is, again, dependent on your haircut and everything. I use a bigger one at the front because I do have sort of shorter hair through here, the way that it's cut. And when I want that big swoop, I find it works better if it doesn't have too much curl, because I like my swoop to be kind of soft and not too curly and sort of high up. So because we're rolling dry, you're also going to need a setting spray or something of that kind. I am going to use the Suavecita grooming spray, which just has a little tiny bit of hold. There's no kind of crispiness to it when I take my rollers out, which I really like. But yeah, because your hair is dry, you will need that spray to kind of just dampen things down, make the hair malleable, keep frizz to a minimum, and give you some hold. Alright, so for this front section, I am going to just use my tail comb to take a rectangle sort of shape. This is quite a large section because I am using a larger roller. So you want your sections to be kind of the same size or very similar to the shape and size of your roller. So I'm going to comb everything up. Now, one thing with setting your hair in rollers is you have to be really aware of your angles of the hair section. So in hairdresser terms, that's over direction, under direction, or on base. So you have over direction is when you would be pulling it out kind of this way, and then you would be rolling it, and so that's going to really give you a lot of volume. Under direction is if you were pulling it way out here and rolling it, but then your roller is going to be sitting actually not on the section of hair. And then on base just means you're pulling it up to a kind of 90-degree angle and your roller is sitting on the section of hair. So in most cases you're going to want to do either over direction or on base. I mostly do on base. So it's just something to be aware of because it can be really easy to under direct. So pulling the hair back as you're trying to roll, especially as your arms get tired. So I think it's just good to kind of keep it in mind and try and keep your section quite straight up. So I am going to spray my section a couple of times, just like that, with my Suavecita grooming spray, and then comb it through. Now I'm going to hold it about halfway up, if you can see that, place the roller over the top, and then I'm going to loop the end of my hair around. And I'm going to, this is a really important part, use your tail comb to help scoop the hair under the roller and kind of creating a really smooth effect. It can really help prevent fish hooks or fluffy ends by just scooping the hair under the roller with your tail comb. I'll show you that a little closer up. It's just that action, and you're just going around like that. And then I'm just rolling it down. Secure it. And another really important tip, if you leave your roller like this, you are going to have one epic dent in your hair section. So grab the bar, turn it round like that as far as it can go, and then grab yourself a pin curl clip or a bobby pin, and you are going to basically clip the section of hair that's in the roller to the hair that's sort of on base on your scalp, and it's going to keep it secure, because if you leave it like this it's just going to flop around. So you need to just grab a bit of hair from each section and clip it to your head, and then that will stay. I do that pin curling not for every roller, but for the ones that are going to be at the top or kind of on my parting, just the ones where it's sort of at the top section of the head. So now I am going to take my next section. Again, it's a reasonably large section. You can afford to do this at the top of your head because you don't need it to be quite as tight. Couple of spritzes of the Suavecita grooming spray, and I'm going to switch back to my small rollers now, I think. So I'm just going to do the same method for this section of here as well, where I sort of hold it up about halfway, pop the roller into place, and then loop the hair around, tucking it in with my tail comb and moving down. And I'm just going to keep moving down the head for a few rollers. I'm just going down the center line, and then I'll start on the sides. A few things that are really important to bear in mind when you're doing a roller set is not to wind the hair too tight. That is just going to be a bit of a disaster. You're going to get a lot of frizz. So it's really about trying to roll the hair kind of like a ribbon, so you're also not twisting the hair too much as you kind of loop it round. And yeah, the tension is super important. If your rollers are dipping in a lot in the middle, then you probably are rolling them too tight. And for the back, I just lift it high, so I'm over directing the section, and wind it as usual. It is a little tricky doing the back. This length here that I have is probably easier than shorter hair because you can kind of pull it up and still see what you're doing. So once I've done a few kind of going past the crown like that, then I like to move on to the sides. So these are all going to go back, 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 down, 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 down. It's a super easy setting pattern. I don't do anything too technical. If you can try and just keep a hold of your tail comb the entire time, just by holding it like this, then you can really easily scoop that hair under with the end of your tail comb. Because this one is right there on my parting, I am going to do the pin curl trick like that. So I've got my sides and a few going down the back. Now I just kind of do that corner. That's all the rollers in. Now I'm going to give it one last spray with the Suavecita. And now you need to wrap. So this is an overnight set and it is going to be so much more comfortable if you wrap it in a headscarf. As it is now, if I moved my head on a pillow, the rollers are going to kind of be pushed around and pull my hair. If you wrap it in a scarf, it keeps everything in place and in position a lot better, and you're also kind of not worrying about them coming out. So simply in a triangle, diagonally, over the top, make sure it's kind of sitting nicely at the back. You definitely want something a bit more solid than, say, those sheer nylon scarves. Make sure everything's kind of lined up. The point of the triangle you're going to bring forward, and then you're going to tie a knot and bring it over that point of the triangle and behind the first roller. This is going to kind of keep everything in place really well. Give that end of the triangle a little pull and just fluff around if needed. And then tie the bow on top of that triangle point. You want it to be tight and firm, but not so tight that it feels like you kind of can't move your head. You want free movement because that way it's not going to slip off too easily. Thank you for watching my sponge rolling tutorial. Don't worry, I will be posting the brush out video as well. Once that's published, I will link it in the description box below. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or my blog, all of the links are below. Check out the other videos on my channel, be sure to subscribe, and let me know what you want me to film next.